Hi everyone, Nathan here with ATC Cooling and Heating, and today we're going to explain what are SEER and SEER2 ratings for air conditioning systems. Plus, we'll take a look at a simple formula for determining your annual operating costs for air conditioning. Now, SEER stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. To calculate SEER, you simply divide the cooling output in BTUs by the total energy used in watts. Let's look at an example. Say you have a 3-ton system, or 36,000 BTUs, and over the course of an hour, it uses 3,000 watts, or 3 kilowatts. You divide 3,000 into 36,000, and you end up with a 12 SEER system. This sort of math is really more useful to look at when you already know the SEER of your unit and you're just looking to calculate the operating cost. And you can find the SEER on the big yellow sticker that should be on your outside unit, or if that's gone, you can look at the model number, which is found on the data plate, which is also on the outside model. For example, I have a Train XL16i at my house, and a quick search on the internet shows that that unit has a rating of up to 16.5 SEER. Now, as a 5-ton system, I know that it's probably a little bit lower than that. So in our example, let's use 16.0. So 60,000 BTUs, that's a 5-ton system. 16 SEER right here. You divide 16 into 60,000, you get 3,750 watts per hour, or that's 3.75 kilowatts. In Eastern Tennessee, we have pretty low electric rates. So at 12 cents a kilowatt hour, you multiply 3.75 kilowatt hours times 12 cents per kilowatt hour, you end up with an operating cost of just 45 cents an hour. And if you look at that over the course of a year, that ends up with about $517 a year. In order to get to annual operating costs, you have to know what your annual cooling hours are. Now, I have an estimation for you here across the United States, and I wrote down a few of the more interesting ones. And these are the average hours that your cooling systems run in a summer, right? Now, if you have a really hot summer, as sometimes we do, it'll be more, and if you have an unusually cool summer, there'll be less. But here we've got a few examples. Buffalo, New York, which is where I used to live, at only 571 cooling hours. Bristol, Tennessee, which is definitely a bit up in the mountains, at 1,066. Tampa, Florida, at a pretty hot 3,068 cooling hours. Houston, Texas, 2,209. And Palm Springs, California, 2,092. Let's look at one more example. Now, you may have an older unit that only gets, let's say, 10 SEER, and you live in Houston, Texas. And your unit is a 4-ton system, or 48,000 BTUs. Again, we use our math here. We divide 10 SEER into 48,000, and that gives 4,800 watts, or 4.8 kilowatt hours. In Houston, Texas, a pretty good estimate for the electricity rate is 17.9 cents per kilowatt hour, and that gives you then a $1,898 per year operating cost to run your air conditioner. Now, over a 5-month period, the summer period, that's about $400 a month just to run your air conditioner. In 2023, the industry moved to SEER2 ratings. The difference is pretty slight. SEER versus SEER2. SEER2 tried to account for regional climate data, ductwork leakage, humidity changes, and other factors to arrive at a more accurate calculation of efficiency. And overall, you can expect SEER2 numbers to be about 4.5% lower than SEER numbers. You may also encounter EER numbers, or energy efficiency ratio. This measurement gets used on window air conditioners, and EER is really just a raw efficiency, an instantaneous point rather than over the course of a season. Now, to help visualize the difference in higher SEER ratings make, I made up a chart. The chart gives you an idea for your annual cooling costs, and note the assumptions of 1,150 cooling hours and 18 cents per kilowatt hour. And those are about average across the country. Of course, your mileage may vary. The bigger your air conditioning system and the hotter the climate in your area, the more difference it makes when you upgrade to higher efficiency equipment. A 3-ton system at a lower efficiency of just 6 SEER, which is probably a 20-year-old system and maybe not too well maintained, will cost more than $1,200 a year to operate, while an 18 SEER 5-ton unit will have a cost to operate of less than $700 a year. Now, I included in my chart up to 10 tons in case you have multiple systems in your house. You can add them all together. Feel free to pause the video and take a look at the relative operating costs for cooling your home. It should be said that there are more reasons to choose higher efficiency than just the absolute cost to operate the AC. For example, at about 16 SEER for most manufacturers, you start to encounter two-stage units. These models do a better job removing humidity and will often run at just the first stage or the lower stage, resulting in quieter operation. At 17 SEER and above, you will find variable output units. These models have many stages and can vary their output to match the conditions of your house and the temperatures outside. They do an even better job removing humidity and are overall very quiet. If your system is a heat pump and you have both cooling and heating efficiency to think about, you have an even bigger reason to choose higher efficiency equipment. And of course, there are tax credits and other incentives that may encourage you to select higher efficiencies. When considering the overall installation cost, I find a sweet spot at about 15 SEER for heat pumps and 16 SEER for AC, and again at 18 SEER for both kinds of units. 20 SEER and above is really nice, but returns only a modest savings in all but the very hottest of climates. So there you have it. SEER, SEER2, operating costs for air conditioning, and what matters. If you have any questions about SEER or really anything HVAC, leave a comment below or check us out at atcservice.com. Thanks for watching.